Hey everybody, thanks so much for tuning in to the Aaron Hill podcast. And today, you notice I got a little quiet visitor there if you're watching the video podcast. That is the baby girl, Maylee, who is fast asleep after eating lunch. So, I was sitting here thinking about a topic that could be really under a couple names. Creating a fail-safe formula, taking advantage of the low-hanging fruit. It's basically about setting goals that are very realistic and understanding that one of the things that drives human motivation is feeling a sense of reward. So I want to talk about that and the power of that and how we can set up systems to help ourselves along with that in mind. There's a lot of people who go to the gym regularly or who strive to go to the gym regularly or, to get in shape and to get fit and to commit to a schedule. And many times what I see us do is kind of we're defeated before we even get started. A lot of times we set our goals really high because we have good, really good intentions. But a lot of times we aren't really thinking realistically about what makes sense. So there's a lot of people, who want to jump into going to the gym and working out, jump right to 5 days a week, 6 days a week, to really crush it, so to speak. And they wind up failing before they even begin. Maybe they get that in for a couple weeks, maybe a month, and then before you know it, they may be out of the race. In fact, if you're a gym member and you're a pretty consistent gym member, then you know that at the top of the year, you can pretty much expect your gym to be packed to the brim for at least the first 2 weeks of January. And after that 2 weeks, it'll settle down because a lot of people that come in to go hard for that 2 weeks wind up not being able to sustain that schedule and sustain that kind of grueling, go hard. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's some people that can do that. I just happen to be one of those type of people, but there's a lot of people that can't do that, and I don't think it's anything negative. It's just we're all motivated in different ways. So at some point, I was working out myself 6 days a week, and that was when I had a lot more time, a lot less responsibility, as well as the other ones that you don't see here. And my life was just at a different place, at a lot different place. I don't even think I was in a relationship during that time when I was able to do that 6 days a week. So it was great. At some point, though, I scaled back to 3 days a week, and this was before it even got to the point where my schedule couldn't handle that. I did it even while I still could afford to go 6 days a week and expend that kind of energy and keep up that kind of rigid schedule. And the reason why I did that was I wanted to create a fail-safe formula. What I figured was, as life was getting busier, if I set a certain amount of days that is like the bare minimum, so to speak, then I can keep myself going because I have a better chance of staying consistent with 3 days a week, 1 hour a day, than 6 days a week for an hour and a half or 2 hours. So it really worked like a charm, and this may seem like obvious and like, well, of course, if it's 3 days, 3 days, 1 hour, but it wasn't that. It was the fact that the days that I was either tired or, didn't want to go or could make any excuse not to go, I would go. And it was because I was actually motivated. The reason why I was motivated was because of consistency. The feeling of consistency. And you know how it is when you feel like you, for a couple days straight, done something, or, you stuck to a goal consistently day after day, hour after hour. the more consistent you are, the better you actually feel. It actually raises your vibration. It raises, your motivation and your perseverance. It raises your drive. It raises your adrenaline. So I was just reminded, as I was driving, just thinking about that and how important it is to apply that to as much of our life as possible. Thinking about how, in different areas of our life, with our career goals, our family goals, even if it's something like, you haven't called a family member, as consistently and to check up on them like you'd like. And, you really, would like to do that, but you feel overwhelmed. And that's the key right there. That's one of the things I wanted to mention. A lot of times we are out of the race before we even get started because of feeling overwhelmed. That's a biggie right there. But a lot of times we're kind of locked in a loop of feeling like we have to set our standards and our goals and our expectations really high. And if we don't do it, we see ourselves as a failure. But the problem is we feel overwhelmed even before we begin, and we don't take note of that to realize, wait a minute, maybe I'm actually just putting too much on myself. So that's what I want to, that for me is the thing that made me set the 3 days a week. It makes me approach my life the way that I do. I don't get upset at myself for what I'm unable to do. Don't get upset at yourself for what you're unable to do, especially for other people. I know that your heart really goes out to them. I know that you love and you care for them. I know that you don't want their view of you to change. Some of you could care less, but there's some of us that do care what others think, and I know you want to protect all that, but at the same time, you can't beat yourself up. You can only do what you can do. And as long as you feel like you're doing what you can do, then be at peace with that. Don't overwhelm yourself. So set your schedule where instead of trying to crush something 5 days a week, just focus on a time period where you just do it 1 day a week. And even if you can do more, I still actually suggest that at least beginning, you only do that one. And again, it's psychology here. It's like reverse psychology. But what you're doing is if you can meet the expectation, and if it's the low-hanging fruit that you can get, then that makes you feel good, which ultimately is what paves the way for your consistency. When a lot of people know that go to the gym and are into health and fitness, the hardest part about the whole journey is literally getting out of bed. As soon as you get up though, and even if you just get up and walk to the bathroom, like you're up. I mean, some of us could dive right back into bed, but for the most part, you feel that cool air. If it's cool, or if you get some water, in your skin or in your system. If you're drinking water, drink water first thing in the morning. That's important for all of us. I should have did this actually, because I gotta remember that myself. But hydration. But as soon as you're up, you're up. The hardest part is just that. But it feels better though if you feel accomplished. If you feel accomplished and you feel like you're on the right track, then that itself is a motivator. So instead of setting your schedule for 5 days a week, set it for 1 day a week. Instead of setting your schedule for doing something for 5, 6, 7, 8 hours a day, just focus on doing it for 30 minutes or an hour, and then go from there. Instead of, doing 10 meetings, only do one, and just allow you to pace yourself. Leave yourself some room. Leave yourself some room to grow and room to feel like, wow, look how far I've come. So create a fail-safe formula and grab that low-hanging fruit, munch on it, smile, enjoy it, savor it. Continue to strive. Just don't overwhelm yourself. Do what you can do. Be happy with that. Don't beat yourself up over things you can't control and that you can't do. You know, it's a big world. You're not the only one here that can help with things. So that's about it, guys. You know, that's about it. Drop me a line. Let me know what you think. You can drop a voicemail to this podcast if you like. And other than that, let me know how you apply it in your life. Let me know what it is that you actually can apply using that method. And if you're already applying it, tell me what your results have been. So that's about it, guys. Take care, and I'll talk to you very soon. Peace.